For the 2026 season, the NFHS has made 5 rules changes to the baseball rules, along with a clarification on the rules and spirit behind the use of courtesy runners. The 5 changes are the introduction of the double first base, adding a definition and limit for player-to-player meetings, new uniform standardization, prohibitions on recording devices, and an editorial change to the designated hitter rule. So over the course of 3 videos, we're going to address all of these subjects. We'll have one video dedicated to the double first base, another exclusively covering the player-to-player meetings, and then this video will cover all the other changes, ensuring that you're ready for an exciting and successful 2026 season. Hey everyone, I'm Patrick Farber with GHSA Baseball Umpire Development and Umpire Classroom, where we help umpires develop their knowledge and skills. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and you can check out our 2026 preseason course, now available on umpireclassroom.com. Let's get started. First, let's talk about new uniform guidelines for teams, which are in Rule 1, Section 4, Article 4. It now includes, effective January 1st, 2027, a school's name, school's nickname, school's logo, school's mascot, and/or the player's name are permitted on the uniform top and/or pants. This rule change is being implemented across all NFHS rule books. The idea is to standardize the requirements for schools across all sports, so athletic directors don't have to manage different uniform rules by sport. This won't have much impact for us as officials on the field. If you run into a uniform that may or may not be legal due to a weird placement of text or logos, the best option is to bring it to your assigner, who will bring it to the school or league, and they will take it to the association overseeing the game. Really, this is much more of an administrative change than an on-field change. Next are changes to wearable devices. This is also an NFHS change across all sports. It appears in Rule 1, Section 6, Article 3, which covers player communication equipment. It now says, no player shall wear any audio, microphone, or video, camera, device during the game. Penalty: the umpire shall issue a team warning to the coach of the team involved, and the next offenders of that team will be ejected along with the head coach. Most of you have probably not seen this come up in a high school game that you've worked, but you may have seen it online. A player wearing a microphone, a camera attached to a hat or helmet. Those devices are strictly prohibited by the NFHS across all sports. Players cannot have any device on them that records or transmits during competition. Note, this rule does not change the recent rule that allows one-way electronic communication devices from the dugout to the catcher. As we talked about last year, while it may be able to transmit outward as well, we do allow catchers to have a small radio in their back pocket with an earpiece running to their ear. Yes, the radio has the ability to transmit, but there's no practical way for the catcher to use that feature. He is simply receiving information from the dugout. So the one-way communication equipment is still legal. Just remember that communication can only go from the dugout to the catcher. Now, while we're on the subject, I want to quickly talk about officials wearing on-field recording devices. If this is something you want to do, you need to get permission from your assigner and most likely your state association. Ultimately, for me, I personally feel that on-field officials should not be wearing recording devices. My reasoning is that it draws attention to us and gives the perception that we're out there to get content rather than out there for the kids and to umpire the game. Yes, if you're working in the MLB and Fox asks you to attach a camera for a broadcast, then you do it. That's part of their broadcast plan, and you're serving the league and its entertainment product. But going out there on your own in a youth game and recording yourself can easily send the message that the game is about you. Even if your state allows it, for example, if my state allowed it, which we usually do not, if you were one of my umpires, I would tell you to stop. And even if I said you could do it, it would definitely prevent me from assigning you to bigger games. That's my opinion, but it's something worth thinking about if that's something you might want to do. Use good judgment and always check with your state association before doing something like that. Next, we do have a change to the designated hitter rule, but this is not something that umpires really need to spend a lot of time focusing on. It was more of an editorial change that actually myself and referee submitted to the NFHS. There was a clause that was in the incorrect spot and should have been in one of the subsets of the DH rule and not applied to all of them. I don't need to cover that here in this video. Instead, go back to last year's video on the player DH And in there, we talk about what the error is, how it gets fixed, and how it impacts your games, which in reality, it shouldn't change anything with how you're already using the rule. It's a small editorial change and doesn't change anything for us on the field. Now, in the last part of this video, let's talk about the new interpretation for courtesy runner use in a game. This comes from the new case play 3.1.4 situation K. The visiting team comes to bat in the top of the first inning. The head coach intentionally lists his first baseman as the catcher on the lineup card. The first baseman can hit well, but he is slow on the bases. The coach does this so that if the first baseman gets on base, he can immediately have a courtesy runner take his place. When the team goes to the field in the bottom of the first inning, the head coach makes a defensive substitution. He switches the first baseman, who was listed as catcher, back to first base, and he puts the listed first baseman into the catching position. This action is not in accordance with the spirit of fair play. If an injury or something similar forced the coach to make this change, that would be acceptable. But doing it intentionally to avoid honoring a true substitution is not what the courtesy runner rule is designed for. The coach is to be warned for this tactic. A repeated offense would result in the coach being restricted to the bench or possibly ejected. For most people, this makes sense because it's clearly the intent behind the courtesy runner rule. If the player listed as the catcher uses a courtesy runner in the top of the first inning, that player needs to appear as the catcher in the bottom of the first inning. Now, this would not be an issue if the change was happening in the second inning, and it would not be an issue if the team was the home team and batted second. In both of those cases, the courtesy runner would only be used after the player had already appeared as the actual catcher. And just to clarify, it is legal to switch defensive positions of any player other than the pitcher at any time. A team could change defensive positions every batter if they wanted to. That part is completely legal. The reason this new interpretation matters is that it's unfair for a team to use a courtesy runner for a player and then not use that player in the defensive position that allows the courtesy runner in the first place. So we need to remember that this interpretation is about the spirit of fair play. Courtesy runners are meant to speed up the game, not to give teams a way to manipulate the lineup in the first inning. So that's our initial review of the minor changes to the 2026 NFHS baseball rules. Stay with us in the next video where we'll review the new rules around the double first base, and then in the video after that, we'll cover the new player-to-player meetings rule. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe to the channel and check out the full 2026 preseason course at umpireclassroom.com. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the field.